we've heard of Patanjali. We associate yoga with postures. Patanjali understood that there are flows of energy within the body, and it is these postures that regulate the flow. This regulation of flow brings about health. I knew about yoga to this extent only. Recently, I was going through the net and I was looking at purpose and the meaning of purpose and quotations associated with it. And then I came across a very interesting quote by Patanjali. It says, when you are inspired by some great purpose, your consciousness expands. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive. What Patanjali is saying is that the purpose is also a posture. It is also like a yoga asana. And I think this is something very important for us to understand. I was very fortunate when I was going through my industrial design education at RCA. And one of my teachers remarked, he said, design has to do with relationships. He gave me a purpose in life, and that changed my thinking. I also realized that not only design is to do with the relationships, all thinking is to do with the relationships. It is the basic function of the brain to seek relationship, to find relationships, to establish relationships. Relationships and connections are the two things that we all strive in all courses that we study. If you understand that, then things become so much easier. We give freedom to our mind to do what it's best able to do. That is, build relationships, seek relationships. So I think it's very important that when we are looking for purpose, where should be the starting point? And for me, the starting point was an understanding of the evolution of the brain itself. What is the brain for? The brain is to coordinate the various functioning of the organs within the body. It is also to take care of movement. It is also to take care of the relationship of the organism with the environment. And this is the key. It is seeking relationship, it is building relationships, it's finding answers, it's finding out what is compatible, what is not compatible. It is also seeking to find out what is feasible. Next one. You have often seen that animals, they choose a leader, fishes, they choose a leader, and so on and so forth. And who is this leader? Is this leader somebody who submits others into submission and thereby forces them to accept their leadership? No. Leadership is one who is able to anticipate, who is able to lead, who is able to take them into a better future. Movement is not a random movement that is taking place in human beings or animals or creatures. It is a quest for a better future. And so what is very significant to understand is that the brain has also evolved the ability to anticipate, to visualize, to imagine, to look into the future. And I think this is something that we miss out. I think it's important to understand that in you, in your brain, you have the capability to think, to create, to invent, to innovate. And I think this is important. In our education system, we are giving facts, we are not understanding the roadmap to the development of intelligence. So we seek intelligent students, we admit them in our program, but we are not able to evaluate, we are not able to challenge them so that their intelligence grows. And I think this is important. We have to provide them a curriculum in which the intelligence grows. And what is this growth of intelligence mean? Go back. If you look at intelligence, you look at an IQ test, what is happening in an IQ test? You are given a problem, you find relationship, how quickly can you find the relationship? You are very intelligent. But what if you are creative? If you are creative, then you are able to find more than one type of relationship. And I think this is important. We have to develop this capability in the students to find reflective thinkers. We are not training innovative thinkers. And I think this is where a change has to be brought about in education system. Another thing that you have to understand is that intelligence is to do with objects. Innovation is to do with values. We have misunderstood the word values. We always talk of education with values. Values is something goody-goody. No, it's much more. Values is valuable. Okay, fine. When you have built a bridge with trusses, you are making use of the values of a triangle, the values that is inherent in a triangle. And that's what we have to understand. Any design that you do is to do with values. Products are carriers of values. We configure products so that values are embedded into it. So values is something much more. Same, it's type of thing that you talk of properties of a material. Harnessing the properties of material, things like that. Innovation, and very interesting word. It summarizes what innovation is about. It has to be something new, novel, over a gem of an idea, and ovation. It must get the ovation of the people. It has to be something culturally meaningful. Then only is it innovation. iPad is an innovation because it makes a difference to the way people live. Next. My quest for relationship led me to this diagram, and I'm simply overbowled by it, extremely fascinated by it. The horizontal axis represents the axis of problem solving. It is the axis of creativity. There is no product or no problem solving, no creativity, let's say, no creation, no invention, no innovation, which is 100% technical or 100% emotional. There will always be a component of technicality in it and a component of emotionality. What is the vertical axis? The vertical axis is to do with care. At the top, you have hedonistic, which means me is more important. Out there, the other is more important. And I think this cross-pollination or cross-fertilization of creativity and care is extremely important. I'm able to map all types of creation using this map. Let's move to the next slide. When I saw the relationship of this map, which I was working with our mythology, then I became very, very confident that there is some meaning in what I'm doing. And you have heard of Shiva and his two sons, Kartikeya and Ganesh. And you've heard of that competition of going around the earth. And Kartikeya was a very technical person. He was the son of Shiva. He went around the earth sitting on his peacock in a very, very technical manner. What did Ganesh do? He went around Shiva and Parvati, his mother and father. And that's an emotional solution to the problem. So any problem that you solve has these two components. There are two ways of handling it. And there's often a combination of this which is important. Indian mythology also differentiates these two different types of creativity. We have Vishwakarma on one side and we have Saraswati on the other side. And thereby it again says that these two forms are important. Today modern neurophysiology talks of right and left, psychology talks of right and left brain. So that's what it's all about. So I think it's very important in our education system to cultivate these two, to do so very consciously as part of the curriculum. Look at the vertical axis. Here, and Diti and Aditi were two sisters married to Rishi Kashyap. One produced Asuras and the other produced Devtas. And in the mythology, they are bringing out the meaning and the importance of it. And they say the two must work together. It's only when the two work together that you get the umbrella. So the child has to be hedonistic, has to take care of himself. But as you grow older, you must start caring for the others. And that's how the system moves. And I think it's important for us to understand this. Let's move to the next slide. There are values associated with each of these. If you are emotional, you will be concerned, you will be able to handle fuzziness, you have feelings which are important. In technicality, rationality, measurement, repeatability, these are important. Ascetic, you have to be altruistic. You have a nature of sharing, you have to be lean. Hedonistic, you are ambitious, dominant, extravagant. These are values which we have to understand. All values are important. Given in the right context, they are meaningful. Let's move to the next slide. In the society, we can manufacture emotions. So you have the magic show, you have a stand-up show, you have filmmaking, more technical, emotional. You have a holy festival, which is very emotional. You have a play, a street play, or you have a Bhangra dance. Bhangra dance is not using anything, okay? We are not using any material things. You are doing it on your own, more aesthetic. Street plays again, making use of the environment as well itself. Let's move to the next. Similarly, we have manufacturing of products. So you have emotional type of products, making a muffin or making wine, or you have very technical type of products, or you could have VTF, PDF somewhere in the set and everybody is contributing to it. Let's move to the next slide. I have taken some examples of dress wear, and you see a sari there, which is a very emotional, high level of emotional quotient in it. An ascetic's robe, a space suit, which is a very technical product, or a gladiator suit, which is there to frighten you, okay, and to protect you. So frighten the other one and protect yourself. Let's move to the next slide. Similarly, you have an armored car, you hide yourself in it and you kill, or you have a moon rover, or you have Cinderella's chariot, or you ride a donkey. Go to the next slide. Or you have Fatehpur Sikri, or a farmhouse, or a skyscraper, and flats built, or you have a hut which uses very, very natural material only. Okay. These are burial methods of burial. You have the pyramid which uses a lot of material and a lot of labor and so on and so forth to bury one pharaoh. You may have a Taj Mahal, which is a very emotional design. You may bury a person under the ground and maybe nourish the creatures underground. Or you may preserve the body in cold storage in the hope that, yes, the technology will advance and you'll be able to bring the dead body back to life. I think it's very important that we understand that we operate within this framework. If you look at the New India education system, it is more to do with technical education and hedonistic education. If you look at the traditional Indian education system, it had more to do with emotions and aestheticism. And I think this is important. I do not say that this is important or that is important. What is important to understand is that both is important. And we have to invest our resources on both. Then only will India be complete. Then only any country will be complete. If you look at nature, it invests creativity and care in both these domains. Next. You have various types of intelligences. What is your current curriculum emphasizing on? Existential, linguistic, mathematical, and spatial. And this is left to the extracurricular activities. Now, how do we expect to build up a rich nation by not allowing intelligence to flourish? Look at the current schooling system. Everybody, irrespective of what their talent is pushed through a narrow pipeline. And then only if they successfully pass through that, can they specialize. Can we have an alternative system where we have choices right below? There is a wide base. And from there you could specialize and become experts in different disciplines. And I think it is possible. If I were to design a school, I would say till the age of 10, art, craft, music, everything, storytelling, reading books, and that's it. When you become adolescent, then you start thinking of the society. You start talking about sociology and things like that, economics and so on and so forth. Till then, your capabilities must develop. And I think this is important. Creativity and care, as I said, are essential to evolution. You look at a coral reef or you look at any rainforest, without creativity and care, nothing is possible. I think creativity and care are the two characteristics that are fundamental predisposition of the universe. Perhaps all laws of physics, chemistry, and thermodynamics and biology are designed to enhance creativity and care. If I were to ask you what should be the qualification and aptitude and experience requirement of the chief operating officer of the ecosystem that is supposed to rule over the entire biological creation, then the chief operating system has to be infinitely creative and infinitely caring. And I think it's very significant that our education system allows these two characteristics to flourish. Yes. Now I will share with you some examples of the student work. And I think by charging them, by giving them a purpose, by making them feel that what they are doing is important, lots can happen. These are some of the slides. I'm not well on it, but you take a look at it. Mostly to do with windmill and various ways in which you can use a very, very tiny windmill to power your mobile phone or your radio or a simple light. Some other examples are platform ticket dispenser and so on and so forth. Just the key. Here is one design. It is a precursor of, let's say, today's iPad. This boy, one of our students, Prashant Chandra, he won 50,000 Bill Gates award, 50,000 US dollars for this concept. And I think what he realized is that if you have to have a computer for the schools, then it cannot have a keyboard. So this did not have a keyboard. It had a touchpad. At that time, the technology hadn't advanced, where the display and the touchpad could be combined together. And I think Bill Gates recognized the importance of this concept and gave him this prize. Here is a street light, and you have this long pole, which is a hollow pole, and the student thought, why not use this hollow pole to clean up the air also? So you have ionizing type systems where you can precipitate the particles, suspended particles. And this boy also got an award of 80,000 rupees. Next slide. Here is a design for a vehicle for the elderly, and as you all know, given even the best of cars, getting into a car or getting out of the car is perhaps the most difficult part. And more expensive the car, more difficult it is. And for the elderly, it becomes even more difficult. So the task here was to design a vehicle for the elderly, where getting in, getting out was easy. Let's move to the next slide. Let's move to the next slide. So this is how it happens. So the seat also goes back. Next slide. Here is another concept on the same problem. And here what happens is when the door opens, it actually rotates and opens. Then the chair also, the seat also rotates. And so it becomes very easy for you. The seat is actually facing the exit. And so it's easy to get out. Here's another design for a small campus vehicle. Here the task was to have as small space as possible. And you notice here simply sitting on the seat and the handlebar is part of the seat. And that's how small you could make the vehicle. So let's move to the next one. Next slide. Next. We all have seen the whole family traveling on a motorcycle. And so the task was to design a vehicle which is easy to afford. In other words, the cost of ownership is not high, and also the operating cost is not high. And so he came up with a design, a three-wheeler, in which, notice the way the family could sit. Very interesting. And this is, he came up with this vehicle prototype. And next slide. And here is a vehicle for the disabled who are in wheelchair. And we have noticed that when they have to travel long distance, they have to be lifted out of the wheelchair, and the wheelchair is to be put in the boot, and they have to be again lifted and put in the seat, and the whole process is repeated again. So he came up with a design so that you could be in your wheelchair, you can get onto your vehicle, latch yourself onto the vehicle, and you can ride off. Next slide.
बाजार में रोज नए प्रोडक्ट, नई सवारियां तो आ रही हैं, लेकिन उनके लिए नहीं जिन्हें सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत होती है। शुक्र है छोटे पैमाने पर ही सही कोशिश जरूर हो रही है, जैसे IIT के इस छात्र विश्वास ने तैयार किया है। देखने में ये सवारी कमाल की लगेगी। विश्वास ने शुरुआत की एक ऐसी सवारी के आइडिया के साथ जिसे विकलांग चला सके, लेकिन इसी दौरान उसे पता चला कि विकलांगों को गाड़ी चलाने से ज्यादा मुश्किल आती है गाड़ी पर चढ़ने में।
तो कुछ ऐसी कॉन्फ़िगरेशन हो व्हीकल की, पर्सनल व्हीकल की, कि व्हील चेयर ही खुद आके उसमें लाइक फिट हो जाए और व्हील चेयर पर बैठे बैठे व्यक्ति ड्राइव कर सके। तो फिर इन लाइन्स पे मैंने काम करना शुरू किया।
इसे हर रोज कुछ विकलांग छात्र टेस्ट भी कर रहे हैं, जिनकी सलाह लेकर विश्वास ने इसमें कुछ बदलाव भी किए हैं। फिलहाल इन्हें बाजार